Hey guys, welcome back to Crazy Cousins Forever. This is Emily, and you guys don't see me much on this channel. I'm doing a video because I'm going to show you guys all the books I read in 2023. Let's start with my romance stack. This is in no particular order in which I read them in 2023. Let's start with Dreamland by Nicholas Sparks. Now this book, okay, don't mind if my dog is snoring in the background, she's sleeping, okay? So I read Dreamland by Nicholas Sparks, and this one was so messed up. So messed up, but I loved it. I love Nicholas Sparks. I read The Wish, where's that? I read The Wish from last year. That one was so good. I'm still trying to convince Caitlin to read it because it is so good. And this one, Dreamland, and there's like some singing in it, so that's fun. I gave this one, I think, 4 stars. Next is Tell Me 3 Things. I read this recently. I think I gave this one like 2.5 or 3 stars because I thought it was gonna be really good, and I started it. It was super funny and humorous, and then I'm like, okay, I understand where this is going. Can it just get to that point already? And then it took forever, and the plot twist was so easily guessable. So anyway, then I read Archer's Voice, which was very exciting for me to read. I've been wanting to read this for so long. It was good. Not what I thought it was gonna be. Very weird. The only reason I really wanted to read it is because it takes place in Maine. And if you don't know anything about us, we live in Maine. So I wanted to read a little Maine story. It was good. I was not expecting the ending. It kind of made me cry, I'm not gonna lie. And I think I gave this book 4.5 stars. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. She writes like science-y books. So this one has to do with a theorist, a theoretical physicist. I don't know how to say that. This one is very fun. So it's fake dating, and she ends up getting with her fake dating guy's brother. And oh my god, is it a little spicy. I gave this one 4 stars. Very fun and humorous. This is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. This is probably one of my favorite books by Colleen Hoover, other than Verity, which is a little dark. This one is a good, almost like YA adult romance, and I loved it so much. You should definitely read this in the summertime. It's definitely a summer book. I gave this 5 stars. It is Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I read one of her other books, Happy Place, which I'll get to in a minute. And I'm not a fan of her writing because it takes place with characters who are millennials. And if you don't know millennials, they're a lot older than me. I don't really have any similarities with them just yet. So these characters are definitely older and have some issues that they deal with. I really liked this one. It really doesn't make sense to me why this is the cover because it's not very beachy. If anything, this one's more beachy than this. Nonetheless, I still like this, and it was very cute. I think I gave this 4 stars. Next is People We Meet on Vacation, also by Emily Henry. This one was very fun and very random. They went on so many different trips, like every year together, and it was so cute. And I was just waiting for them to get together. If you don't know, Caitlin did not like this book, but I loved it. And I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars. Next book is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, I thought I would love this book because everyone's raving about it, giving it 5 stars. And then so Caitlin read it and she was like, this is kind of weird. Emily, you should read it. I want to know what you think. So I read it, and some weird stuff happens. I mean, it's kind of cute, like the whole closet thing. They're getting to know each other, but it goes a little too far. And some stuff happens that really should not have happened.
In the closet.
In the closet. It's a cute story, just a little too detailed. And I think I gave this...
Too much smut.
I gave this 3 stars. Last in the stack is All This Time by Mickey Daughtry and Rachel Lippincott, and this is the authors of 5 Feet Apart, which, if you don't know, Caitlin is obsessed with. So she recommended this book to me because she absolutely loved it. It has a great plot twist, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a big fan because she kind of told me the plot twist before I read it. It was still cute, and the one thing I didn't like is the main character's name is Kyle. And if you don't know, my brother's name is Kyle. So it was a little weird to read about. It's still cute. I think I gave this 3 or 3.5 stars.
Also, this is the nutcase behind the scenes who is snoring. Also, if you hear me in the back, I have a cold. I'm sick.
Moving on to the second stack I have here, and these are in no particular order as well. So this one, I think, is the first or second book I read of 2023. Now, this took, I think, over a month for me to read. So this author, Stephenie Meyer, also wrote the Twilight series, and I love Twilight. So I was like, okay, let me give her other book a try, The Host. And this is also a movie. You can go watch it on Hulu. It was really good. The book was very, very dragged out. I feel like it could have been like half this size. And it's also supposed to be a series, but she hasn't written the second book. But anyways, this book I gave 4 stars. It's really cute moments in here, but it's super dragged out. Next, I read The Singing Trees. Now, I read this on Kindle Unlimited, and then I decided, wow, this is so good. I need the physical copy because I wanted my grandmother to read it because there's some specific parts in this book that actually happened in her life where in 1969, Elvis was supposed to perform in Maine. And if you don't know, this takes place in Maine in 1969. And he was supposed to perform that year, and my grandmother was supposed to go see the concert. If you don't know, Elvis passed away before that year, so she wasn't able to see him in concert, which was really sad. This book is so cute and very sad. I loved it, and I think I gave it 4 stars. Definitely recommend this one. Next is the very popular book of this year besides Fourth Wing, which I also read, which I'll get to. This one, Divine Rivals, is also going to be a sequel, which I just got recently, and I'm excited to read over there. This one is a fantasy book, and it has to do with, let me get it open, typewriting, which is very, very cute. I loved it. It's so different from other books that I've read. There's a little bit of romance in it, and it's just really cute. And let me tell you, it leaves off on the best cliffhanger that makes you want to keep reading this series. So I'm very excited to get into the rest of it. I gave this one 5 stars. So good. Next is Happy Place by Emily Henry. Now, if you don't know, this was a very anticipated read for 2023, and a lot of people gave it 5 stars right off the bat, even though they hadn't read it yet, just because it's by Emily Henry. Now, I read this. These characters are millennials. It's a little too old for me. They have some weird friendships. A fan of it. It takes place in Maine, once again, so that's why I really wanted to read it. It's a cute summer read, still a little too old for me. Wasn't a fan. I think I gave this 3 stars. Next is An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, and if you don't know, where's John Green? I love John Green's book. I have a signed copy of his and another signed copy of The Fault in Our Stars that Caitlin gave me. I'm still convincing Caitlin to read this book. It's super weird. So fun and random. It's about this guy, Colin, who is obsessed with girls with the name Catherine. So he has dated at least 19 Catherines. And he's just really obsessed with them. And he's also obsessed with like mathematics and the theorem of the underlying Catherine predictability, in which he thinks he's gonna get in a relationship with Catherine and win her over or whatever. So they go on this little trip, and it's very interesting. So I give this book 3 stars. Last in the stack is Normal People. Now, this is one of the first books I read of this year, and I still think about it to this day. I watched the Hulu series before I read this, and I'm so glad I did, because I would have not understood this book at all. Because if you don't know, it has no quotation marks, meaning if there is dialogue, you don't know who is speaking because there's no quotations. It just flows without the punctuations. I really like this book. I totally recommend it. It can be a little boring for some people because it's a little slow and the characters aren't very good about communicating. So I gave this one, I think, 4 stars. Last stack, right here. Until we get to some books on the bookshelf. Until we get to those big ones. This one is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Now, I read his book Silent Patient, which I loved. The plot twist was amazing. I decided to read this one, and this one is a bit of Greek mythology and a thriller mystery. It takes place at a university with a bunch of students and this lady who is an aunt of one of the students. So she goes to see her niece, and there's this little killer on the loose that they're trying to figure out. So this one's very fun. It's a little dark and kind of had me at the edge of my seat, kind of scared. It's really good. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. Next is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Now, I read the second one, but I have it on Kindle Unlimited. This one was probably my favorite. I annotated it, and there's some really freaky parts. It's about this housemaid that gets hired, and some stuff happens with the wife that lives there. She's a little creepy. Something happens with the husband, and the housemaid is like, what is going on over here? So yeah, I really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. Totally recommend this. Next is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Now, Caitlin recommended this to me, and she got me this copy at Goodwill, I believe.
Yeah.
And now, I was not expecting how dark this book was gonna be, but it was very good. I've read this for like 2 days straight, and I couldn't stop reading it. It was very suspenseful. What happens at the end made me bawl my eyes out when I figured out what happened. This teenage girl, Ellie, I feel so sorry for you. If you've read this, you know what I'm talking about. Definitely check trigger warnings for reading this because it's a little dark. I think I gave this 5 stars because it was so good.
It was good.
But so dark.
So good.
Totally recommend this. Just
go get this book and read it.
Yes, check the trigger warnings though.
Make sure you're old enough to read it too.
Now, moving on to The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is definitely a top 5-star read of 2023 for me. This book is, once again, is pretty dragged out, given how thick this is. It really depicts what happens in wars with women and them going through living situations, being forced to do things they don't want to. This one made me bawl my eyes out at the end. There's something that happened and that was revealed that I was not expecting, and I cried so hard. I felt so bad for these characters, and some of these events actually do depict what happened in those times. Still really, really sad, and I gave this one 5 stars, of course. Last in the stack is Into the Wild. Now, this is a very short book. This took me a long time to read. Now, this is based on a movie. It's a true story of this guy who decides to just leave normal civilization, burn his money, and take off, and he tries to live in the wild on his own. It's very, very, very sad. And he meets some amazing people along the way, and you get to read about those amazing moments. Definitely check trigger warnings on this one. It's very sad. Definitely go watch the movie. So good. 5 stars. Okay, now that I've gone through all the stacks, I'm going to move on to books on my bookshelves. Now this one over here, Fourth Wing, you guys all probably know about this book. Is definitely the most popular book of the year by Rebecca Yarros. Now, she's written other books, but this one has really stuck out to people. This is her first fantasy novel. People are obsessed with it. Now, I read this going into it being like, oh, I'm gonna love this. It's gonna be so amazing. I started it and it was pretty slow, and I understood why people loved it. The romance is really good. There's a lot of things that are just kind of boring. I also do love the dragon parts. Those parts are amazing. I can't wait to read more about it in the next book, Iron Flame, because the dragons, if you don't know, they speak. Now, I gave this 4 stars because it wasn't my favorite, but it was still pretty amazing. Moving on to the best books ever. If you don't know, I am officially obsessed with Sarah J. Maas. I have read almost all of her books so far, still got plenty left. Let's start with ACOTAR. Now, everyone, if you're watching this, you've definitely heard about ACOTAR. If you haven't, go watch some other videos. They'll explain better than me. But I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and if you don't know, it is based on Beauty and the Beast. Not exactly the basis of the story is, and this one is amazing. Now, the male main character is not the best character until you get to the second book, A Court of Mist and Theory. That is when it gets really good, and you guys all know that because this one's probably the best of the series. They're just so amazing. I love them. So this one's really romance focused, and this one is based on more of the fantasy realm, the whole war aspect. This one has a huge section at the end just of them in a huge war, which is pretty amazingly detailed and very, very sad. And then they have A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a novella, and it's like wintry themed, them just like having fun and stuff. And then I have A Court of Silver Flames. Now, if you don't know, this is a spin-off of this part of the series, and this one wasn't my favorite. I will tell you, it is the most spicy book of the series, for sure, because it is based on Nesta from this. It is Feyre's sister. Now, she is not a very liked character. You get to understand why she is how she is. But anyways, she is just, you really get to like her in this book once you know why she acts the way she does.
Definitely watch out for this one. It's a little spicy.
Okay. So I gave this whole series probably 5 stars plus for the rest of my life. My best series ever. Moving on to the other Sarah J. Maas books, I have Crescent City. And if you don't know, the 3rd Crescent City book is coming out January 30th, which is very soon. I'm so excited. So we got House of Earth and Blood and House of Sky and Breath. Now these ones are very thick, you can tell. Very thick. And they're very dragged out. It is very necessary because there's some details you really need to know. And if you don't know, at the beginning of this book, a bunch of characters died that they already introduced. I'm like, what just happened? You introduced these characters and now they're dead? What's going on? They're really good. Definitely some spicy scenes. She loves adding spice to her books. I gave this 4 stars total for the series so far. Now moving on to one of her largest series ever, Throne of Glass. Now I have only read Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire so far. I still need to annotate and tab some of them, but I got Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash left, and I'm so excited to read these. I've heard they are so good, and I heard something at the end of Empire and Storms really gets people's attention, so I'm excited to see what happens. And let me know if I should tandem read these or not, because I'm very interested to see if that's a good idea or not. But I'm very excited to read those. Then I also read Charm and Cherish, part of the Crave series, and those ones are amazing. I gave this one 5 stars, this one 4 stars. It was not the best finale of the series, still good. And I also read Caraval. That's another amazing fantasy series. I'm still convincing Caitlin to read it because it's definitely a great beginner fantasy reader series. And I gave that probably a total of 4 stars for the series. Next is This Summer I Turned Pretty. Now, if you don't know, that is a huge Hulu series, and it is so amazing. I love Conrad. I'm definitely a Conrad girly. I don't know about Caitlin, but I am.
I'm a neither girly.
So I read those. I loved the last 2. The first one was not my favorite.
Yep.
It was a little childish.
I like the show better.
Yeah, the show's really good, but the books are still amazing. And then, let's see. Last but not least, I read the Inheritance Game series. Now, I thought I'd love this. I originally gifted these to my brother, Jacob, because I thought he'd love them. It's like a mystery series and stuff. I read it, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. The one thing I really didn't like was how many characters there are and how many connections these characters have to one another. There are probably like 30 characters in that book series that are just so interlocked with each other. I just don't understand how people decipher the different ones and, oh, like this character is this person. I thought they were the same one. Like, what's going on? It was a little confusing, and I think I gave it a total of like 3.5 stars for the series. Now, I thought that was the last one. Actually, I reread Twilight this year. And if you don't know, Caitlin and I were supposed to read that together. I finished it, But she did not. She got about like 30% into it and stopped.
No, I got more than
She
30%.
got about 30% into it and she stopped. But you guys need to convince her to keep reading it, because even though it's really like people don't love it a lot because it's just very cringy, which I'll agree it is, the movies are better. The books
Team
are...
Jacob.
No, Team Edward. If you guys are Team Edward, comment down below.
Look what she got for Christmas.
Oh yeah. Side note, I got the exclusive 15-year anniversary Twilight Saga DVD set. I'm so excited about it. Yeah. Let me know if you guys want another video of what I got for Christmas and some new books I got this year. Why are you doing that?
What? What?
And let me tell you, why are you laughing?
Because it's a
Is that even a word? Guessable?
saber. Thank you.
What was that? I heard something.
I don't know.